Everyone believed it was a tragic accident, a loving husband broken by the sudden death of his wife. But what if I told you the man crying at the funeral already knew she was going to die, and the only thing he forgot would destroy everything? He stood beside the grave, hands trembling just enough to look real. People whispered about how devoted he had been, how deeply he must be suffering. Daniel lowered his head, hiding the absence of tears. He had practiced this moment in the mirror, how to breathe, when to blink, how to let his voice crack when someone said her name. And now, it was all paying off. His wife, Emily, had been everything people admired. Kind, patient, always smiling even when life wasn't perfect. But Daniel never saw her that way. To him, she was a barrier, someone standing between him and the life he believed he deserved. The debts, the pressure, the constant feeling of being stuck, it all built quietly inside him until one thought changed everything. Insurance. It started as a harmless idea. Just security, he told her. In case something ever happens, he had said with a soft smile. Emily hesitated at first, but she trusted him. She always trusted him. That was the thing about Emily, she loved without suspicion. The policy was large, larger than most people would consider normal. But Daniel convinced her. He always knew exactly what to say. Months passed. He waited patiently, planned carefully, nothing rushed, nothing sloppy. He studied routines, habits, timing. And then one night, everything aligned. The house was quiet, the world outside was asleep. And Daniel made his move. It was clean, or at least, he believed it was. The next morning, the news spread quickly. Tragic accident, a fall, unfortunate timing. People came, offered condolences, brought flowers, cried for a woman who had never deserved such an end. Daniel played his role perfectly. But grief, when it's fake, is exhausting. Days turned into weeks. The insurance process began. Papers, signatures, formalities. Daniel could almost taste the freedom waiting on the other side. No more stress. No more struggle. A new life. Then something small happened. Something he didn't expect. Emily's younger sister, Sarah, arrived from another city. She hadn't been close to Daniel, but she had always been close to Emily. And unlike everyone else, Sarah didn't cry much. She watched. The first time their eyes met after the funeral, Daniel felt something shift. It was subtle, but uncomfortable. As if she was searching for something beneath the surface. "You loved her?" she asked quietly one evening. Daniel nodded, lowering his gaze like he had practiced. More than anything, Sarah didn't respond. She just looked at him, a second longer than normal. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. Hooked mid-story to keep viewers. But what Daniel didn't realize was, the one thing he overlooked wasn't evidence, wasn't the police, and wasn't even the crime itself. It was someone who knew Emily better than anyone, and she was about to uncover the truth piece by piece. Sarah stayed longer than expected. At first, it seemed natural, family grieving, tying up loose ends. But slowly, her presence became something else. She started asking questions, small ones, harmless ones. What time did it happen? Where were you standing? Did she say anything before? Daniel answered carefully, always calm, always consistent. But Sarah wasn't looking for answers. She was looking for cracks. One afternoon, while going through Emily's belongings, Sarah found a notebook. It wasn't hidden, just placed among other things. Inside were simple entries, daily thoughts, reminders, little pieces of Emily's life. At first, nothing seemed unusual. But then one entry stood out. Daniel has been acting strange lately. Keeps asking about the insurance policy. I don't understand why he's so worried about it. Sarah read it again, and again. Something cold settled in her chest. That night, she didn't confront him. Instead, she started digging deeper. Phone records, emails, conversations Emily had with friends. Slowly, a pattern formed. Daniel had been asking questions. Too many questions. About money, about safety, about what would happen if. Meanwhile, Daniel noticed the change. Sarah wasn't just observing anymore. She was moving, quietly, carefully, but with purpose. The pressure began to build. Then came the mistake. Daniel had been so focused on planning the crime, so careful about avoiding suspicion, that he overlooked something simple, Emily's smartwatch. A device he thought was irrelevant. It had recorded her last moments. Not clearly enough to show everything, but enough to raise questions. A sudden spike in heart rate. Movement that didn't match a simple fall. And most importantly, timing that didn't align with Daniel's story. Sarah found it, And everything changed. She didn't go to the police immediately. Instead, she confronted him. "I know," she said quietly, standing in the living room where everything had once seemed normal. Daniel froze. For a moment, he considered denying it, playing the same role he had perfected. But something in her eyes stopped him. There was no doubt there. No uncertainty, just truth. "You forgot one thing," she continued. "You thought this was about money. But Emily, she noticed you. She trusted you, but she wasn't blind." Daniel's world began to collapse in that moment. All the planning, all the control, gone because of one small detail he dismissed. And the worst part, it wasn't the police that broke him. It was the realization that Emily had known something was wrong, and still chose to trust him. Days later, the truth came out. Investigations reopened, evidence re-examined. The story everyone believed unraveled piece by piece. Daniel lost everything, not just his freedom, but the illusion he had built around himself. In the end, it wasn't the perfect crime he imagined. It was a reminder. You can plan everything, control every detail, hide behind every lie. But the smallest truth you ignore can destroy you. And sometimes, the person you think you've fooled the most, is the one who leaves behind the clue that ends everything.